Epcot is no doubt my favorite theme park out of the 4 Disney parks in the Walt Disney World Resort, but at the same time, I think it might be the biggest what if in theme park history, because when you really look at Epcot, it's history, it's abandoned plans, it's half-finished concepts. It's not hard to imagine an alternate version of the park that could have been the greatest theme park on the planet. And I'm not exaggerating. From the original concept art in the 1980s to the bold but ultimately disappointing Epcot 2.0 project in the late 2010s, this park has more unrealized potential than anywhere else on Disney property. In this video, I want to dig into why Epcot feels like such a missed opportunity, what we actually got, and how different the theme park might look today if all of those plans had come to fruition. When Epcot opened in 1982, it was already a bold experiment. This wasn't another Magic Kingdom clone with fairy tales and castles. Walt Disney had originally envisioned Epcot as an actual functioning city, a futuristic community that would serve as a living laboratory. By the time the park was built, that ambitious idea was stripped down into something more practical, a theme park divided into 2 halves. Future World would showcase technology, innovation, and human achievement, while World Showcase would bring together cultures from across the globe. And here's the thing. Both halves of the park were originally supposed to be loaded with major attractions. Almost every pavilion in World Showcase was pitched with some kind of e-ticket ride, and Future World had an equally ambitious slate of concepts. But as the years went on, many of those plans never left the drawing board. Some attractions were built but never opened, others were cancelled midway, and some were just abandoned after years of sitting in limbo. The result is a park that feels half complete. Beautiful, yes, inspirational at times, absolutely, but never quite living up to its full version. Jump ahead nearly 40 years, and Disney decided it was time to reinvent the park again. Around 2017 and 2019, the company revealed what they called the Epcot transformation, a full-scale refresh of the park that was often referred to as Epcot 2.0. And at first glance, it looked like exactly what Epcot needed. Future World would be completely restructured into 3 neighborhoods: World Nature, World Discovery, and World Celebration. The park entrance would be redesigned, major new attractions were announced, even World Showcase was set to expand with new rides and experiences. This was Disney saying, okay, we're finally going to fix Epcot. To promote this transformation, Disney opened the Epcot Experience in 2019, a temporary attraction inside the Odyssey Pavilion, and it was basically a preview center for the future of the park. Guests could watch a 360-degree film while a giant model in the center of the room lit up with projections to show off all the new additions. It was a hype machine, and for good reason. What Disney was promising looked incredible. The only problem, basically none of it came into fruition. So let's talk specifics. Out of all the projects that Disney announced for Epcot, only a handful actually came into fruition. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind opened in 2022 and is arguably the best coaster Disney has ever created. This really laid the foundation of what Epcot 2.0 could have been. Remy's Ratatouille Adventure finally brought an actual ride to the France Pavilion. Journey of Water, inspired by Moana, opened as a walkthrough attraction in 2023. And then there was Harmonious, the massive nighttime spectacular which debuted in 2021 but was so unpopular that Disney killed it off after less than 2 years. And that's it. Out of the long list of projects promised in the Epcot Experience and through other announcements, those were the only major things that really stuck. Meanwhile, several other highly anticipated projects were either cancelled, delayed indefinitely, or quietly erased from the preview show, so Disney could hopefully just make you forget they ever announced it in the first place. For example, the Play Pavilion, which was supposed to replace the abandoned Wonders of Life building, was hyped up as a huge interactive space. Construction even began, but the project was eventually cancelled, leaving the pavilion empty once again. Spaceship Earth was supposed to undergo a massive renovation that was long overdue called Our Shared Story, with new scenes, updated technology, and an expanded focus on storytelling through time. That refresh was cancelled. A futuristic festival center was planned, envisioned as a floating multi-level structure that would serve as a year-round hub for events and dining. That also never happened. A Mary Poppins attraction was announced for the UK Pavilion, finally giving that country a true anchor ride. It was cancelled before construction even began. Each of these cancellations chipped away at what could have been a stunning reinvention of the park. So, what happened? Why did Disney promise the world and then deliver, well, a third of it? The obvious answer is COVID-19. When the pandemic hit in 2020, Disney was forced to close all of its theme parks worldwide for months. Revenue collapsed, construction was halted, and the company cut costs everywhere it could. They even tried to release some movies, but they weren't so good. And Epcot's transformation was one of the biggest casualties out of all the projects during COVID-19. Projects that weren't already close to completion were shelved, budgets were slashed, and by the time the parks reopened, Disney had to rethink its priorities. Now, to be fair, it wasn't all the pandemic's fault. Some of the Epcot projects were already facing logistical or possible financial hurdles because of the cost, but COVID was definitely the knockout punch. It leaves us with an interesting hypothetical. What if the pandemic had never happened? Would Epcot today look completely different? Would we be walking through that futuristic festival center, riding a Mary Poppins attraction, exploring the Play Pavilion, and maybe riding an updated Spaceship Earth? It's impossible to know for sure, but I think it's safe to say that Epcot would feel like a much more complete park than it does right now. So, what does that leave us? Well, Epcot today is a park that feels caught between its potential and its reality. There are definitely positives. The redesigned entrance looks great. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, as I stated earlier, is an absolute game changer. The new World Celebration Hub is clean and modern. Journey of Water was a very nice addition that definitely came into fruition well. I just wish it didn't take 5 years. But there are still some glaring problems. Spaceship Earth, the park's icon, hasn't been meaningfully updated in over 15 years and just badly needs some TLC. Journey to Imagination with Figment is widely seen as an outdated attraction and in desperate need of a refresh. The Wonders of Life Pavilion is still sitting abandoned. Mission Space is unpopular and takes up prime real estate that could have housed something better. Instead of a massive multi-level floating festival center, we got the beautiful, glorious Communicore Hall. And even in World Showcase, several pavilions like Morocco and Germany still lack any kind of real attraction. And yes, I know a lot of the things I just stated weren't even a part of Epcot 2.0, but since that didn't come into fruition, these are things that really need to be brought to Disney's attention, because these are attractions that are just in desperate need of updating. In short, Epcot is still full of unrealized opportunities. But here's the good news. Disney does seem to have learned from the failure of the Epcot 2.0 plan. Instead of announcing a huge slate of projects all at once, the company is now making more targeted, smarter updates. Perfect example, Test Track 3.0. It is such a massive improvement from the ride that it once was. Sure, you could still argue 1.0 is the best version, but arguably, if you compare 2.0 to 3.0, I just think 3.0 is miles better. And stuff like this is the right move. Epcot doesn't need another giant list of promises that may or may not happen. What it needs is consistent investment, one pavilion at a time, until the whole park feels as fresh and complete as it was always meant to be. At the end of the day, Epcot is still my favorite Disney park. I love walking through its pavilions, I love the atmosphere, and I love the ambition behind it. But that's exactly why it can also be so frustrating, because you can see the bones of what it could have been. The Epcot that exists today is a shadow of the park Disney promised us in both the 1980s and again in the 2010s. And yet, even in its incomplete state, it remains a fascinating, beautiful, and inspiring place. Maybe that's the magic of Epcot. It's a park built on possibility, on imagining what could be. And maybe that's why it feels like the biggest what if in Disney history. I just hope that as Disney continues to update it, they give the park the TLC it deserves, clear out the abandoned spaces, and finally deliver on some of those decade-old promises. Because if they do, Epcot really could become the park it was always meant to be.